Hey guys, welcome to the Pure Joy podcast. My name is Jonathan. I consider myself a open-minded, millennial entrepreneur. Enjoy growing spiritually, financially, mentally, etc. And started this podcast so we could, discuss these topics. The first podcast is about my experience as a Airbnb guest and host. Don't even know how we got started with Airbnb. Really, it must have been just an ad that we saw or just surfing the internet. It really intrigued me because, one, obviously Airbnb is significantly cheaper than a hotel, and also intriguing to kind of, experience the area authentically, you could say. It really is more of an authentic experience. I think the Airbnb's ad is don't go there, live there. So I think that is pretty accurate. Pretty catchy slogan. The best part about it is easily meeting people in the cities, meeting new people. Kind of, you call it networking, but just having general help and feeling more at home, feeling more safe. When we went to Denver, it was our first time using Airbnb, and our place was a penthouse in the sky, which was very good marketing by that guy, by the way. It really caught our eye, penthouse in the sky. Seeing the Rocky Mountains, seeing the city of Denver from your bedroom, that's pretty awesome. It's hard to get that in a hotel. But it was weird at first because we had never done it before and we weren't sure how to get into this condo, and we were showing up late and felt bad communicating with this guy. He might be in bed. So it was a little bit awkward at first for sure, but we did manage to get in the building and go up to the room just like you would at a hotel and get the key card at the lobby. Instead, we had a key underneath the mat. So once we were in, we were hooked. No going back. The view from that place was amazing. Hopefully, I can link some photos to the video here so you guys can see. But as far as an authentic experience, like, you really couldn't beat it. We talked to that guy the next morning, and we were asking him where we could go get a donut. What are the best donuts in town? And I think he said it was Voodoo Donuts, and he told us exactly where it was, and it was awesome. He had a little dog. I can't remember her name. I think her name was Dolores. But how often do you get to play with the dog where you're staying and vacation? After Denver, we used it in California. The best place in California was in a small little town called Cambria. It's in between, like Monterey and Los Angeles, I believe. That's where we stayed. And it was this little camper in a driveway in a little neighborhood by the beach. And she named it Peggy. That was kind of like her way of marketing her listing. She called it Peggy. And it was really cute. It was obviously very cramped, but I believe it was only, $30-$40 to stay. Meanwhile, the hotels in that area were 4 or 5 times that much because there were so few of them. And I suppose many people do stay in that area, traveling from the, Northern California to Southern California. So we stayed there, and man, that was amazing. You could hear the ocean breeze and the waves from your bed. And probably the best part about that listing was the outdoor shower. Since being from Houston, it's hot and muggy and gross, and so an outdoor shower wouldn't really make sense because you would just be sweating while you're showering. But in California, it was awesome. I took a cold shower when it was 70 degrees, and I had never felt more refreshed. So after we were guests for a while, we thought, hey, maybe we could do this hosting thing and have guests of our own. And we felt, more comfortable with Airbnb, the whole process of communicating. So we figured to give it a shot. And in Houston, I wasn't really sure the demand, as far as how many people come here for vacation, or, if we would ever have any guests. I wasn't really sure. So we just went for it. And I think one of the big advantages definitely is just, obviously your location. If you're near anything that is a, destination, or near sporting venues or near major hospitals or anything like that, you'd be surprised how many people do, come to your town for probably reasons you had never thought of. Probably the two main components to, attract more guests or even just more clicks, more views on your listing, is obviously just to have great photos. And Airbnb does provide a photography service. For most places, it appears, you can request like a professional photographer and they can come take pictures of your place. So clearly you have to have everything set up exactly how, you'd want it, because they only come once. And then the second way is to somehow market your listing or separate yourself. When I looked at the listings in Houston for a private room, all of them said private room, bathroom included, snuggy place, cozy place, nice room, large room. Like, they were all basically the same. So I decided to kind of theme out my listing and, themed it out like sports. The Astrodome was a pretty popular figure in Houston, and, no one else was doing that. So I felt that the Astrodome was, very specific to Houston, very unique. It was the eighth wonder of the world. So I already had, a lot of memorabilia and a lot of, decoration. So try to use what you have, market yourself or market your listing in such a way that would, be specific to the region. When people are looking from, out of town, they would think, oh, that's pretty cool. Tons of people message me and say, hey, I love the Astrodome suite. I'm actually coming to Houston to go to the Astros game, and I'd really like to stay at your place. So that definitely, I think, separated us, and we became super hosts in a matter of a couple months. We were very basic. We didn't provide really breakfast at all. We just had a mini fridge with some water, some yogurt, and that was it. Very minimal. As long as you have Wi-Fi and a bathroom, it appears that, and you set the expectations. It appears that most people understand that they get what they pay for. Our listing was only $39, to start off. So I don't think anyone really is going to expect buffet breakfast and big screen TV and all that. So really just start off really basic, and then as you keep hosting, you just kind of add on. So we've been doing this for 6 months, and we've had some really awesome guests. We had a woman from Greece who was super friendly, and she was here for work. She worked at an art gallery and invited us to the gala, and even though we couldn't go, but that was really cool. And we had a couple from Costa Rica that was here to see the Costa Rica soccer game at NRG Stadium, and they went to the Galleria Mall and probably bought $2,000 or $3,000 worth of clothes and shoes and jewelry and watches. They left their shopping bags in the room after they left, and we were like hoping they left something, because man, they bought so much stuff. And then Also, we had a young girl from Australia who was traveling America and went to Nashville and New York City, San Francisco, Las Vegas. So she did the whole 9 yards and then finished in Houston. I guess simply because of maybe the flight was cheaper, but it was great. We met her and we talked all about the difference between Australia and America and the similarities, and it was just really cool to have someone here talking to me that lives in Canberra, Australia, talking about her story and what she thinks of America, and like that was awesome. You don't get that staying in a hotel typically. I mean, I guess it's possible, but the experience isn't quite as intimate or authentic. We did have one. We have had one really, 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 really terrible guest. She had no cell phone. She was a much older lady, didn't feel like she really understood, how Airbnb worked. So it was really hard to communicate. Um, I tried to just, I tried to really leave her alone. And for the most part, I thought everything went well, but turns out, man, she ended up giving us a really bad review. And that will be for another podcast talking about the Airbnb review system, whether they can remove reviews or not. They really are pretty strict on not removing reviews because you have the ability to respond. But I worked my butt off and finally got that review removed because it was pretty discriminatory and just not nice and not true. So that was our worst guess for sure. In the 6 months that we've been hosting a private room, just one private room in the downstairs. Started out at $39 a night. After about 10 guests, we bumped it up to $49 a night on the weekday and $59 a night on the weekend, really just Friday, Saturday night. And in the 6 months, we've earned about $4,500, which I'm not complaining about. It's pretty great. I mean, it's pretty minimal work at this point. Once you have the room, furnished, the reservations come in just kind of randomly, but they come in pretty consistently, and there's really no work to have to reach out and find leads or find candidates. I mean, they just happen because there's so many users on Airbnb. So what we've learned in the past 6 months, which I know we have a lot more to learn, but probably the main thing is to set the expectations properly. I guess I'm in sales, so one of the sayings is to under promise and over deliver. So that's a pretty good method of having a guest leave happy, or making sure they're not you're not living up to their expectations by maybe saying something in your listing that isn't quite true. It could be interpreted differently. I know a lot of guests have I know a lot of hosts have problems with guests saying, "Oh, I didn't know that your place was so and so far away. I thought it was a lot closer," and things like that. So you really have to be very specific because you can't rely on people to actually look up things on their own. So overall, it's been a wonderful experience, and we definitely plan on continuing to do it. Actually have listed the entire house at this point because it's been so successful. I would love to have multiple properties and do this, maybe not full time, but I mean, if the money was right and the opportunity was there, I would definitely do it. There is a lot of some legality issues. You can't really rent places and sublease them, or rent apartments and list them on Airbnb. That's typically against the rules. So really the only way is to own a place or to rent an entire house potentially. So I would definitely look into it. It's like I said, it's fairly minimal work after you get everything set up. The hardest part is furnishing the room and then cleaning the room when the guests leave. So that's essentially it. As long as you can communicate via text, typically you're in good shape. The link to our listing is down in the description. Thanks for listening.